Here's three price scenarios that I have on my mind when it comes to the Graph's native token called GRT in an event where, let's say, maybe we do see a fully fledged type of hypothetical altcoin season. Even though nothing I say is financial advice, the first scenario I want to take a look at is the idea of maybe $1.50. Now, some of you may be thinking, okay, who cares about that? Well, personally for me, it's not something that I would find too kind of like outlandish because it is around a 16.6x from here. Market cap at that point would be around $15.7 billion. And now some people may be thinking, okay, what makes you think that the graph even has good fundamentals? Well, let me explain. For instance, when I take a look at the graph, what is it, right? The graph is an open source software. And basically, if we take a look at it, it is used to collect, process, and store data from various blockchain applications, and this right here is done to facilitate information retrieval. It's basically to help developers use relevant data to increase the efficiency of their decentralized application, which I think is pretty awesome. However, the graph analyzes and gathers blockchain data before storing it into various indices, and these indices, by the way, are called subgraphs. And this allows, allegedly, any application to send a query to its protocol and receive an immediate response. However, queries are posed through decentralized applications through something called GraphQL. And I actually want to mention something pretty cool that I find kind of interesting when it comes to this, because GraphQL is a widely used language that was originally created by Facebook to gather data for a user's newsfeed. So again, I kind of like the whole vibe when it comes to the graph. And if we think about it, again, just kind of having this focus on information retrieval, helping developers increase the efficiency of their decentralized application, I think this right here could especially be pretty awesome moving forward, because if there's going to be more applications moving forward, let's say, right, if there's going to be more developers and just more people in this space, I think, again, being able to increase the efficiency of a decentralized application could be beneficial, right, arguably. But even besides that, it doesn't end there, though, because it should be noted that anyone can use subgraphs to power applications across 50 plus networks, which includes something like Ethereum, Moonriver, Moonbeam, Harmony, and many others. Again, over, 50 plus networks. That's very impressive. However, even besides that, the graph, we've seen it be used by popular Ethereum decentralized applications like Aave, right? Like Curve, and even Uniswap. Again, Uniswap, very massive decentralized exchange. So overall, I do like the vibe of the graph. I like the utility. I like the fundamentals, and maybe the idea of $1.50. That wouldn't necessarily surprise me if we do ever see a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Now, the second scenario I want to take a look at is $1.75, nearly a 19.5x from here. Market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 18.3 billion. Now, we've seen like Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion in market cap, back in 2021, and we've seen Dogecoin that year reach over $80 billion in market cap. I'm not saying that the graph is going to be more popular than that, but then they reached that years ago. So what would they do this time around? Whoops, sorry, I just, accidentally touched the microphone there. But again, imagine what Dogecoin or Shiba Inu would do, let's say during the cycle, if we do see a fully fledged type of altcoin season. So around an $18.3 billion market cap, it's not like it's something that I think is too outlandish in my perspective, but again, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. This is just my mindset when it comes to this. Now, the third and final price scenario I want to take a look at is $2. Now, around a 22x from here, and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be nearly 21 billion. Now, why wouldn't this surprise me? It's because right now, supposedly, there is more crypto owners than ever before in history at over 600 million. Back in 2021, around 300 million during the peak of that bull run. So that's like a very big difference, basically double. And keep in mind, we have that right now. Like Bitcoin hasn't reached 200 grand, let alone 150. Imagine if Bitcoin reached 250, 300 grand or something like that. Could you imagine what the crypto owners would be like maybe at that point? Who knows, right? I mean, if there was more than right now, it wouldn't surprise me. Not to mention, I also take a look at kind of the hype surrounding the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF. I get it, more specifically when we take a look at Bitcoin, a pullback, right? But then at the same time, I just kind of feel like if there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season, that type of stuff really does matter. And again, kind of combine that with over 600 million crypto owners, maybe the idea of $2 doesn't seem too outlandish to me. Now, some people may be wondering, okay, how soon? Now, I do not know the future, but at least I can take a look at some clues from the past. Now, typically, altcoins, usually as a worst case scenario, they peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, 18 months from the last Bitcoin halving event would actually mean October this year because the last one happened in April of last year, in 2024. However, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a surefire, timeline or something like that because, first of all, we're not in October yet. And also, on top of that, each cycle is going to be different, in my opinion. So maybe it could happen November, December, if it ever even does, or let's say sometime around Q1 of next year, like be it February, January, whatever the case may be. But even still, despite all that, that type of stuff is beyond my control. However, what is within my control, and that's myself. So I'm going to be dollar cost averaging, holding, and just waiting. That's it, and staying patient. As opposed to finding the perfect moment, I'm just preparing for a moment in time, if that makes sense. So I'm just waiting, staying patient, and that's about it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.